Welcome, everybody, to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Emily Gulmer, and I'm a podcast engineer here, and excited to bring you another episode of the World of Ability, or not the World of Ability, World. Bring another episode of the SB Bridge Show with Suzanne Plumley. We do here every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Central. And love to have everybody connect with us on our social media, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and so on. And we'd also love to have everybody join us as a guest or in the gallery. So please connect with us if you are interested in that. But with nothing further to do, I'm going to bring in Suzanne to kick us off today.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming back to the Asprey Bridge. And this is week 2 of our abundant, joyful holiday season. And today we're looking at planning for a stress-free holiday season. We need to have, but before we go there, with all the awesome Aspreys that are out in the world, late diagnosis autistic level 1 individuals, such as Paul Micallef in Australia, Samantha Stein in the Netherlands, Sarah Hendricks in the UK, Temple Grandin here in the US, and all the other wonderful Aspies autistic level 1 individuals who are helping you to understand that there are traits of autism that we need to be aware of. And that's going to be very crucial for this particular set of podcasts. Last week with Wendy, and then going forward into the end of the year. And I have someone for the new year to help you get started with 2025. But we have all these wonderful Aspies and autistic level 1, whichever way they decide to call themselves, who are helping you to understand. But the mission of the Asprey Bridge is for me to connect you to one of the wonderful bridge builders that I have, volunteer life coaches who can help you with a particular problem or helping you plan to go into society and not get stress-free, not get stressed out by the holidays, finding a way to enjoy the holidays again. So while I don't have a guest with me today, that doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck, because I am your host today and I can help you. Now, let me tell you, planning is going to be your best way of going about managing this season. Many times people just kind of threw themselves into the middle of the holidays and said, whatever it is. But I think if you plan out Thanksgiving, is a perfect time to really sit down with a nice cup of coffee in your favorite chair and really start to think about some of the things that make this season a lot better. My family used to, because I was I gifts for the holidays without a lot of stress. I may not have known I was autistic at the time, but that didn't mean that I didn't have the traits of autism. Even though I didn't know what was bringing about my challenges, I still knew I had challenges to overgo. But planning seemed to be the best way for me to handle some of the surprises that came my way. Last week we talked with Wendy about taking the boo out of Halloween, but she also talked about making sure that we built in that time of rest before rest to get ready for the event and recovery after the event was over. That's your first number one rule. So if you know of any activities, and we know if you're here in the US, then you're going to have Thanksgiving on the 28th. So go ahead and block out the 27th for at least half the day and the 29th for part of the day. And just give yourself those 2 days right away to say, I am not scheduling anything. And you know what? That's going to bring us to shopping. A lot of people like to shop the day after Thanksgiving. That's one great place to say no thank you. So let's get on with our list. We said number 1 was planning, taking this time right now to really think about what are some of the activities that you're going to be expected to be at. Now, if you don't do anything else, try and plan 2 days of this next holiday season, and maybe a third if you consider New Year's Eve to be something that you enjoy doing as your 3 big holiday or 3 big event days. And block those out as nothing else is going to be as part of that except for those holidays. Make sure you're aware of what day of the week they come on so you can gear up. If a Thursday is normally a tiring day for you, just know what you have to do to prepare to be ready for that. And sometimes the day of the week can make a big difference to us. A Monday morning Christmas is a lot different than a Friday morning Christmas. And I say that because many of you still do work for the whole week leading up to the holiday. And while Monday morning can be a hard to get out of bed day, you might be tired on a Friday morning. After going through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of work, we need to plan these into your schedule. So try and know or ask your supervisor ahead of time, what are you going to be my expectations of work for the weeks leading up, for the days leading up to each holiday, so that you know what's going on. Now, the next thing we need to think about is the people who are going to be at these different events. Now, you're going to have some people that you love hanging around with, maybe your cousin Sandra or your cousin Andy that you love to be around. And maybe they will be at some of these events. And they bring you joy. They bring you energy. You have a lot of fun. Those are the people that you're going to want to try and make sure you're with more. They're going to keep your energy going. But maybe Uncle Ralph is your low energy guy. Say hello, how are you? And then make a beeline for another family member that may come up. Maybe Grandma Catherine is someone who's going to be regularly criticizing what you're putting on your plate. Well, that's not the best person to sit down next to at Thanksgiving if they're going to be like that. And you may want to even talk to the hostess ahead of time and say to them, you know what? I'm finding that sometimes I don't enjoy myself when I'm sitting next to this particular person. Can you help me so that I'm not in that position, so it doesn't look awkward or rude to the individual that brings your energy down? You need to think about some of the different people who are going to be at some of these events that you know will be there. And maybe even a letter ahead of time to whoever's hosting the gathering to say, I appreciate the invitation. If you can kindly make it such that I'm not in close proximity to this individual who might be bringing down my energy, I would greatly appreciate it. If you talk to the hostess, then they will be sure that if they do set out the arrangement of who sits where, they will really make it an effort not to put you with that person. I'm hoping that they will be supportive and understand that this is the way of you coming to the holidays, not backing out entirely. So my answer is find the right people that keep your energy going and allow for you to have a joyful holiday season versus the people that might not. And next week, we're going to be talking about should I stay or should I go with Virginia Drew. So we'll get more in depth on that next week. But keep in mind of some of the people who are going to be at some of these different occasions. And if you get more than one invitation, consider that also as your way out of a more difficult situation. Perhaps your family is not going to be the best choice this time, and you can say to them, I appreciate the invitation, but I've a wonderful experience ahead of me at such and such a location. And yeah, they're going to be a little hurt at times that you're not taking them up on that invitation, but you really need to watch out for you. That's the important part of getting through this holiday season. It's not going with what is expected, but what will bring you the most joy, what will keep your energy level high. There's no point in being a people pleaser, especially at this time of year. You can save your family time for perhaps Christmas Day and say, that's another thing you can say to them is, I'm not going to be spending Thanksgiving with you this year, but I will be there for Christmas. Kind of a compromise, per se. Let's go on. Finding ways to have a memorable time at each event. Maybe there's a way that you can stay on the outskirts of the activity and say, hey, I'd love to be the person who takes the family pictures, the event pictures to make it memorable for all of you. That way you're not feeling self-conscious about being on the camera if that's not your favorite place to be. And by taking the pictures, you can offer to take other people's cameras or camera phones, as the case may be. In this way, you can be removed from the event in a way that keeps you comfortable, but you can still help them to have a good time. And by offering to be the camera person or set the table or a number of other things. Maybe be with the kids for an hour to play a game. Maybe that might be your situation. Or maybe you can take a dog for a walk. That might be another way to have a polite escape out of the situation. So, some of these different ways are ways that you can handle not being in the thick of the event the whole time. So be the photographer, family photographer, set the table, get it ready, um, play with the kids for a little while, or take an animal for a walk. Those are some great ways that you can be on the outskirts of the activity. I mean, unless, of course, you like being in the middle. You know you. You know what you can handle. You know what you prefer not to handle. Knowing when enough is enough. Now, perhaps this is going to take another opportunity for you to connect with the host for the activity and say, I'd love to come. Please tell me when you're going to be serving the meal, and I'll come an hour before to help you. But please know that I may be making an exit shortly after the pumpkin pie. Know what your time availability is. We talked about this last week with Wendy as well. You know, sometimes using an animal as an excuse, I got to get home and walk my dog or whatever, is a great way to tactfully say to people, I've had enough. I can't stay any longer. My energy is drained and I need to drive home while I'm still alert. These are just ways to know when enough is enough. And you also need to make sure that you're not showing up right as the meal is being served either. That would not be polite. You want to give about an hour, but you don't need to give 4 hours. You don't need to arrive for the beginning of the Macy's Day Parade if you're not eating until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's just an example. So the next thing I want to talk about is I had put in that you can get this self-care list. That's a great way to go through all the different things. Now, I can't show it to you on my background, but these are some wonderful different ways. Perhaps while you're resting the day before Thanksgiving, you can go get a manicure or pedicure and wear your headphones and listen to some soothing music or read a book. Perhaps you want to find a good friend to sit down and have a cup of coffee with. someone you really value. Take a walk, watch your favorite Christmas movie. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of holiday movies. There's still fall festival movies on Hallmark if you really enjoy Thanksgiving. But there's a whole list, and I recommend that you go through Google and see if you can find a list to put up onto your refrigerator. So when you're feeling stressed out, you can really say, okay, let's see, what can I do to relax my nervous system? And there's a wonderful set of lists right here that will really help you come up with some good ideas. Do yoga. Maybe you'd like to declutter a particular area. Although I recommend you staying away from that unless you're really into that, because that's gonna bring down your energy, not bring up your energy. So know who you are. Um, Cook a fancy meal for yourself. If you do enjoy cooking, that might be a great idea. If you don't enjoy cooking, again, know yourself. Know what you love to do. Sit down with a craft if that's your way of really relaxing. Know what brings you comfort. And by all means, if you have family members in your house, you don't have to jump up and serve them every time. Let them do some of the serving to you. That might be a great way to get some more rest, is if you do have family members in your house and they're willing to take out the trash, say thank you. Let them do it. You don't have to jump up every time someone needs something. Let's go on to the next thing. Creating a month grocery list for all your recipes. Now, I had told a number of people, and this one you can do. This is Christmas planner, and there are recipes. Think about some of your favorite recipes and what you're bringing to some of these different activities. Now, for the month of November, try and do it so that you have all your items on one shopping list. That's going to keep you from having to go back to the grocery store. And as the holidays come in, the grocery store is going to get busier and busier. And if you're anything like me, I don't like shopping carts, especially at this time of year. They tend to get in the way. They tend to be blocking other people's view of something, and you're constantly moving it. If you can, sign up, if no other time of the year, sign up and pick up your groceries. Yes, you might need to plan ahead because there are grocery times. A lot of other people are going to be doing the same thing. Going to a grocery store the holiday season is probably one of our low energy activities. It's going to drain our batteries really quickly if we're trying to maneuver around a lot of people. So try and think of some of the different recipes that you'll be taking to different places. I know for me, I'm going to be making a cheese ball to go to Thanksgiving. So you can bet I'm going to be putting that all the ingredients on my list right now. Now, even within the month of November, your food is not going to go bad unless you're buying produce. Then you may need to be wait until a little bit closer to the date. But for the majority of your recipe items, perhaps you can buy them right now at the beginning of November, and they'll be ready for you when you're ready to make the recipe at the end of November. So really try to sit down and think about some of the recipes that you're going to be making. This is also a great time to plan into your own home meals, something that might be already prepared or something that you can make in bulk and have a couple of times throughout the month so that you're not cooking every single month, every single night. And I know that a lot of people value the fact of, gee, I don't mind leftovers. If I make up a big batch of chili and I put it into containers, it's all ready to go. And that can be one way to save yourself. Now, Christmas cookies are wonderful, but I wouldn't recommend you having those for a quick up snack. Maybe pretzels and some Vegetables might be a quicker way to have a quick snack instead of baking early Christmas cookies and then walking by and eating those each time. You want to be healthy and happy, make your body happy too. So, really think about some of the different snacks that you can put into your home so you're not tempted to eat some of the things that are going to make your body not be very happy. Know what you like. For me, I like to buy some string cheese, and then it's a quick pickup from your refrigerator. Maybe some of you like to have some gluten-free tortilla chips. Whatever is your go-to, the healthy go-to, maybe that's a good time to stock up because you do want to keep your energy level going strong this whole time. That's going to be one key to your abundant, joyful holiday is making sure that you have the right foods and they're quick and easy to pull. Meals, snacks, breakfasts, maybe a couple of extra yogurts or cottage cheese, whatever works for you, that you can rely on to be quick and easy to grab. I even like those just cracking eggs that you can find in the grocery store where you just crack an egg and put all the ingredients together. Is it the best? Well, it's certainly going to be 5 Dunkin' Munchkins or any other type of sweet that you might be having. So, again, you have to know what you consider healthy versus not as healthy. And that's a great way to think about that. Now, there are some great ways on this Christmas planner to go through and just start to think about some of the different things that you would like to keep in your holidays. How about a Christmas card list? I tend to find that if I'd like to do Christmas cards, I like to sit down with my favorite cup of coffee or favorite cup of tea or hot chocolate and just enjoy writing out a nice note to people. That's a relaxing way to sit down and have the season go correctly. You don't want to be in a rush on the 5th or 6th of December trying to get out Christmas cards. Even last year, I waited till after the Christmas season was over because I knew my energy would be really tight leading up until Christmas. So I waited till after Christmas to send my holiday cards versus Christmas cards. Might be a way for you to realize that it doesn't have to come before December 25th or before Hanukkah or before Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. You get to decide what your timing is. Don't feel like you have to go with the norm. So maybe it arrives after Christmas. It's a holiday card. It's not a Christmas card. Do you think people are going to be upset that you haven't sent them a card before Christmas? If they're supporting and loving, they won't mind. If they're critical, then maybe that's someone that you have to drop off the list if they're going to be upset with you for sending out something nice. So think about who you're sending Christmas cards to or holiday cards to. And maybe this is a time to really put the extra time into those who are loving and supportive and pull back on maybe the people that are just going to be critical about when you send a card. The next thing I like to talk about is your Christmas gifts. That can be a crazy time too. As I talked about before, you don't need to do Black Friday. And I probably would recommend you not doing Black Friday unless you have that very special friend or family member that makes it extra joyful. Because that's the time when we're going to come across a lot of instances of claustrophobic, of overwhelm, of people all around us trying to shop for the same thing. I always like to go with Cyber Monday. Now, yes, I'm sure you're thinking that it's not always safe to go on, but Amazon definitely has made it a lot easier for us to shop for gifts for those special people in our lives without even leaving the comfort of our home. You can do in your pajamas. There are other stores that you can go on that are very safe. And yes, if they have a notification or a tracking system so you can see when they arrive, so that you can plan to be home on that day if you worry about being in those high crime areas where there are people that pick up packages, maybe those are the days that you can mark off on your calendar as the days you want to be staying home so you can grab that gift as soon as it comes in. Let's just hope that we can eliminate some of the stress of people who are stealing packages. But in order to foolproof that, you want to make sure that you're going to be home 1 or 2 days around the expected time and delivery. Now, if you can do all your cyber shopping in one day, a lot of them will come at about the same time, unless you're going to an international company, in which case they're harder to judge of when they come. Try and stick with companies that you know that are local. Now, another thing about gifts is maybe you start hitting the craft fairs and everything, the vendor fairs is what I was trying to get at, where you're shopping for those one of a kind special items, not the latest and greatest gift. And of course, you always have gift cards. I travel most of my holiday season, so the idea of trying to pack all those things into a suitcase may be not as easy, and they'll take up a bulk of your suitcase. One thing I had done one year, and I really liked it, was I actually had the gifts mailed to the home where I was going to be if I was going to be traveling on an airplane or something other, my own automobile. I actually had the gifts sent to someone specific. And in my case, I had it sent to my bonus daughter, Sarah, so that she could keep track. And then for Sarah's gift, I sent it to one of my other daughters. So keeping someone aligned that they're coming to them to be on a watch out for them. Now you're not having to take your gifts with you. And the airlines do not let you wrap the gifts ahead of time. So you're going to find that you're putting them in amongst all your clothing. And if you open the suitcase in front of such and such a person, there's their gift. Well, that's another reason to go with gift cards or to mail them to a home of someone who can keep track of the gifts. And as soon as you arrive, you can wrap them there. And that's just one way to keep the peace and to keep the stress out of your life, is not having to take all of the gifts with you. Maybe you can give occasions. I'd love this. This piece of paper represents one time of going out for a cup of coffee with you. This represents one of your favorite shopping trips after Christmas to such and such a cute boutique. So maybe you can give more of a certificate of an experience instead of a gift. And then again, you can do ahead of time, does not require wrapping, does not require shipping. You can do that ahead of time. And that is a way to have a stress-free Christmas. Now, Thanksgiving, what you want to do is you probably want to prepare that recipe Monday afternoon to Tuesday morning, so you're not feeling the crunch by Wednesday afternoon if you haven't made the recipe yet. If you put it in the back of your refrigerator, it will hold if it needs refrigeration, and nobody will get into it either. You can put a do not open till Thanksgiving on a piece of masking tape, and people will stay away from it. They'll know. You'll want to communicate with them too, but they'll know it's a take along recipe that you're going to be taking to an event, not something for the family to dig into a little bit every day. And yes, you do want to communicate that. Resting before and after events, we went over that. finding the best seat in the house is not necessarily the most comfortable couch. What happens is when family sits down to watch the football games, and you may or may not be interested in the afternoon football game, you don't want to be in the prime location. You don't want to be on the couch. Maybe there's a high buffet seat you can sit in that's closer to the door. Maybe there's a chair that's not in the line of vision. Because if you do decide to get up in the middle of a game, you're not going to be disturbing anyone. Plus, it makes for an easy getaway if you need to leave quickly. So find the best seat in the house for you, so that if you need to get up and get going, or if you choose to not sit and watch the same activity that everybody else is watching or the same show, you can find that you being in an out of the way seat is going to be your best bet. Sitting at the kitchen table after everybody has left is also a nice quiet place to sit and just relax and digest instead of getting up and moving to where the rest of the group is going to be. These are some things that you can find to raise your energy back up again. Now, the very last thing I'd like to discuss, and yes, this is going to be a shorter than our usual podcast because I am doing this on my own. Usually when I have a guest, we have some wonderful conversation that goes back and forth. But since I am doing this alone, I will spare you the full hour. And I think you can watch this a number of times if you're looking for some great ideas. One of my favorite things to do at the holidays is just to cuddle up with a pet. You know, sometimes they are the best forms of company when you're trying to relax and regain your energy. They're not going to be challenging you with questions. They're not going to be hurting you with criticisms. They just want undivided attention. They just want to cuddle up with you while you take a quick little cat nap. And they don't ask anything of you. And I think this is a very therapeutic way for you to regain your energy at the end of a meal. If you're out with friends or family, enjoy the animals that are around. It can be a very therapeutic way for you to just sit and relax and regain your energy. So I want to say thank you for coming today. I hope you've gotten a lot of value out of this. If you want to find out where to get the handouts I was showing you, on my Facebook group page, the Aspie Bridge, you can go in and I have put links to those 2 activities that you can look at so that you can print them up yourself and bring them home and start to do a really strong planning so that you can keep your holidays abundantly joyful. So I want to say thank you for coming today. Next week, as I say, we're going to talk about knowing which activities to stay home for and what activities to say, yes, I'd love to. And I hope you'll come back next week. Well, when Virginia drew out and I talk about this issue. But for today, I want to say thank you for coming. And I hope you have a